right, good morning, guys. Good morning, YouTube, I should say. I have been wanting to do this for so long, just kind of thinking about it, mulling over it, probably overthinking it. That's what I typically tend to do. That's in my nature. But I have so many content creators that I love to watch on a regular basis, some on TikTok, but most on YouTube. And I really watch a variety of different things. I watch gardening, I watch fishing, I watch hiking, I watch camping. And then I watch stuff like cleaning videos or redecorate this room with me or renovate this room with me. And it's really just the culmination of the things that I typically do and like to do in my life. And sometimes I just think that there is a lot of beauty and joy to be found in the mundane, so to speak. And it's really easy to like get caught up in being frustrated with where you're at in life, or thinking that like a weekend spent at home is not a weekend spent well. But I really try to remember that like those are the little things are the beautiful moments in life that we tend to take for granted. So I think that it's time that I make use of these, so to speak, mundane moments, or moments that I really appreciate, and I think that others would appreciate to see as well. It also just gives me like a really good way to document my life in a way. There's been a lot of things, especially in the past year, like since me and my husband got married, bought a house, renovated the house, that I just felt too busy, or felt like it wasn't worth capturing in the moment. And then I look back on pictures or videos that we did take at the time that we were doing these events, and I wish that I had more. It's really cool to reflect back on times in your life and things that you felt like would never end in the moment, but now you can look back and say, wow, I did so much and I've come so far. So without rambling on too much longer, I'm just gonna take you guys through this Sunday with me. It is not quite first thing in the morning, but I'm gonna say good morning because my day is kind of just going. I've been doing some little things around the house, kind of just picking up from the culmination of the busyness of the week, and doing some laundry and cleaning the kitchen, and just really getting ready for the stuff I wanted to do today, which is mostly outside. So I'll take you guys through. I just planted my spring garden last weekend. I started everything from seed, and I'll take you guys through that. I have like this new method of planting I'm using, square foot gardening, and I thought it was really cool and revelational to like help me with maximizing my growing space. I have some fruit trees that I'm ready to put in the ground and get ready to have them succeed this spring, so I'm excited to show you guys that. We're just gonna see what we get into today. So without further ado, thanks so much for being here with me. Let's do it. All right, so we are currently at my dining room table because I do not have an office space yet. We are working on that, but for now, this is where I get things done. I want to walk you guys through my gardening journey a little bit. So growing up at home, we would have a garden here and there, and it was fun, but I never really felt like it was totally my own. And I looked forward to the day that I would own a house and be able to just plant whatever my heart desired and grow all kinds of fruit and veggies and flowers and awesome things. And when we got this house, we're currently on about 1/3 of an acre, so we don't have the most land in the world, but we have a whole lot more than we had living in an apartment, and definitely a lot more than most people in Florida. So I'm just so grateful to have the space that I do. And I started gardening here, believe it or not, probably May, June of last year, impending our wedding in October. And I started the garden with the goal to grow my own wedding flowers. I was not super confident with the growing space that I had that I would grow all of our wedding flowers, but I knew if I grew enough for like my bridesmaids bouquets and maybe some centerpieces that I would be happy. And it was a complete success. I learned a lot. I only grew in, I'm gonna show you, in 500-gallon grow bags. So it's just basically like a big felt bag that you can put dirt in and grow anything you want in. It was the cheapest and quickest and easiest way I could get a garden going without worrying about weeding or amending the soil that we have here in our yard. So I kind of just added on to that this year. My lovely husband, Justin, he built me 4 8x4 cedar raised beds. So that over doubled my growing space. So I was a little overwhelmed. I wasn't quite sure where to begin as far as my spring garden this year because I had so much space. And I had a rectangular space now versus circular. So the circular, the round garden beds, I kind of just winged it, honestly. I eyeballed my spacing with the flowers. The spacing was pretty similar for all the flowers that I grew, so I really just threw some seeds in the dirt. Some plants made it, some plants didn't. But I wanted to be a lot more methodical and scientific with my approach this season because I just want all the success that I can get, and I wanted to be very well informed. So I forget where I first saw square foot gardening, but I found the best and easiest resource for me on the phipsconservatory.org. They have a PDF that you guys can find and print for yourselves. And it basically just takes you through like every step of the way. So they give you a sample garden plan, and that's about it for that. So I'm just gonna get straight into how I did my garden planning. I actually drew everything out to scale and took my time to figure out where I wanted everything. So here we go. For this first bed, I have cantaloupes, which require 24-inch spacing. So I've allowed 2 squares by 2 squares for both cantaloupes. And the same with all of the other plants. They recommended 18 to 24-inch spacing. So to make it easy, I just use 24-inch spacing. I have 2 eggplants, 2 Tabasco peppers, and 2 jalapeno peppers. For the second bed, I have all of my tomatoes. So I only have 3 varieties that I was trying to grow this summer. So I broke it out 2 plants each, and I have Aroma, a Cherokee Purple, which is more of a beefsteak tomato, like a cutting tomato for like sandwiches. And then I have a cherry tomato variety. And then for tomatoes, I know for a fact that they are very susceptible to disease and pests. So I made sure that I was intentional about allowing some space for companion plants. So I have actually a variety because I know basil is highly recommended for a companion plant for tomatoes, but I've heard dill is good, and then nasturtiums are a great trap crop for aphids for anything. And I basically just mirrored it on the other end except reversed. So I have dill, basil, and a nasturtium. In my other 2 square beds, rectangular beds, excuse me, I really allowed myself to go crazy with the flowers because I enjoyed having my flowers last summer so much. I got endless bouquets on them. I was giving them away toward the end. And I just really enjoy them. The pollinators love them. The neighbors love to see the flowers in the yard. And I would love to be able to make my own bouquets all summer and be able to give them away. It just gives me a lot of joy. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of zinnias. So I have a different variety each row. So 4 plants of each. I have a row of Cosmos. I have a row of Basil. I have 2 different varieties. Basil is an excellent filler. It smells delicious in bouquets. I have Amy, or Queen Anne's Lace, and I have Celosia. My first time with both of these. I'm excited to try to see if I can grow them. I have sunflowers over here. I have 3 different varieties, and they require quite a bit of spacing for those. So I have only 6 of those. And then I have a row of Amaranth, which is a great filler for bouquets, and also a great trap crop. And then I have a row of Black-Eyed Susans or Rudbeckia. Planning out the round beds, I'm not sure was completely necessary. I think that I just began to initially because I was going to keep flowers in all the round beds like I had last summer. But then I kind of changed my mind because it was much easier to space the flowers in the rectangular beds, and it'll be much easier to net them or trellis them if they get heavy and they tend to want to blow over. So I'll just show you really quickly. I have a round bed completely dedicated to milkweed from seed because I want to try to see if I can attract and raise monarch caterpillars. And then I have a watermelon, 2 round beds of watermelon because they do require quite a bit of spacing. And the last 2 round beds are a zucchini each because again, they're vining and they can get really big per plant. I know I really enjoy seeing varieties and seeds of what people are planting, so I'm gonna show you guys what I planted this spring. Starting with the eggplant variety that I chose is Black Beauty. The squash that I chose is also Black Beauty. The 2 types of peppers that I planted are Tabasco, which I hope to try to make my own hot sauce with, and jalapenos. The 3 tomatoes that I chose are these cherry tomatoes, Cherokee purple tomato, and then Romas. Then we have a sweet passion melon, which I would compare to a cantaloupe. And then for the watermelon variety, it's crimson sweet. I think the rest here are flowers, so I'll talk about the milkweed that I planted. I planted common milkweed and butterfly flower. And then I actually planted swamp milkweed that I collected the seeds from a plant that I had got from a local nursery when it did go to seed. I'm curious to see how well it will do, and I think it's really important when you plant milkweed that it is a native milkweed to your area, so it will go dormant in the winter, which will encourage the monarchs to complete their natural migration to Mexico. Some of the fillers that I planted are Green Mist Amy. This one is the Celosia that I'm growing. It's Flamingo Feather. It should be like a light pink. The 2 types of basil that I'm growing are this Miss Burns Lemon, which should smell like citrus, and then this Aromato I did last summer. It's really cool. It's more purpley than anything, and it smells delicious as well. The bees love it. I am growing 2 types of amaranth. The burgundy I did last summer. It's beautiful and rich in color. Sorry, the seed packet's a little wrinkled there. And then this will be a new one for me, this Hot Biscuits. It's just like a copper color. Really pretty for fall. I'll probably succession plant these, so I have some for bouquets toward the fall. And then this is the variety of Rudbeckia. Indian Summer Black-Eyed Susans, which are like a small sunflower. And then I have Heirloom Beauties. I'm hoping to get a lot of those red colors. I have Vanilla Ice, which is more of a pale yellow. I tend to typically go for the more different sunflowers. I'm just not a crazy big fan of like the typical bright yellow petal, brown center sunflower. And this was just, when I order seed packets, they most often come with a free packet. And this was just one of the ones I got from Botanical Interests. It's just a tall sunflower is what it says. And then for the cosmos, I believe I planted these seashells. I had some remnants of some other packets, but these did good for me last summer. All of these zinnias I planted last summer as well, and they were excellent flowers for my wedding. My favorite would probably be this Queen Lime Orange, this Bennery's Giant Purple. These should be larger than the typical zinnia. This Senora zinnia, which is like a really pretty pink. These Zinnia Envies, which are greenish in color, really unique in a bouquet. And then these Zinnia Polar Bears. And then just a few of the companion plants I am going to try to throw in here and there. I did talk about dill, which I just got these from Home Depot, I think. Pretty typical seed company. This Alaska Mix Nasturtium. It's a mouthful. I did these over the winter this year for the first time. These Tangerine Gem Marigolds. They're probably only about that big around. They're excellent companion plant. They're very aromatic and they tend to repel pests. And then the Sweet Alyssum. Once you put these in the ground once, you are going to have them for as long as you'd like because they do self-seed. They're very prolific, very easy growers. And I think that's all I had to show you. I will be planting an herb garden. I do like having fresh herbs readily available. It saves us a ton of money. It helps me to use them more when we cook. But I did want to do them away from the garden kind of this time because I want to try to keep the ones that I can perennial, so I don't have to seed every time that I deplete my herb garden. So I have a planter that I was gifted by a cousin that I'm going to try to utilize on the back porch or near the back porch. So I'll probably end up showing you guys that, but that's all I have for now. Now let's head out to the garden.
Alright, so here we are in the garden. This is what I was talking about I had started with. Just these 5 grow bags. So I'll take you through those really quickly. I am still leaving this dill for the remaining swallowtail caterpillars that are hopefully going to go to chrysalis soon. But this will end up being, like I said, a watermelon. This is, same thing with the parsley. I do have caterpillars in here. I don't know if you can see any of them. I have the Black Beauty squash. And I actually have those 2 that already came up. This is the milkweed bed, so I have 3 different kinds of milkweed in here. This will be another Black Beauty squash. I'm leaving these bachelor buttons for now just because they took so long this winter to bud up. I'm still holding out for flowers, but I may pull them soon because they do shade that seed. And the final one is another watermelon. Still waiting on those seeds to sprout. Alright, so we'll move on to the new beds. These are 8x4 and like I said, they're cedar. And I'll just take you through really quick what I showed you inside. These are the peppers, jalapeno, Tabasco. Those are the eggplants. And these are the melons. I don't have a whole lot of sprouts going on in this bed yet, but actually see, these are new today. These melons have sprouted. See that little bit of green right there. I'll move over to one of the flower beds. You'll be able to see how prolific and easy zinnias really are. You can basically just throw them on the ground and they will more than likely come up. They love the heat here in Florida, so I love them for that. I look like I have some cosmos coming up as well. Some basil. and some celosia, possibly. Awesome there. Here's the rudbeckia. The amaranth is doing excellent. I think all of those have sprouted. And I hope you guys can see the tiny little pieces of green. It's hard with the perlite. The soil that I put in these beds is a 1/3 mix of peat moss, or it's a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. So it's a third peat moss, a third horticultural perlite, and then a third compost, which I get mine currently from Home Depot. It's just black cow compost, but I eventually want to make my own, have a compost bin. Then all 3 rows of sunflowers have sprouted, which is awesome. And for the last bed, I have my dill, basil, and nasturtium in the corner, and then I have all 3 tomatoes. Not much activity here. I actually see today that the cherry tomatoes have sprouted. So there you have it. That is the current state of the garden. I am so excited to be able to bring you guys along with this summer and spring's growth, and hopefully be able to show you what I can do in the kitchen with all of the stuff that I grow. Alright, so now we're going to get into our garden chores for today. These are all fruit trees that my husband and I went and picked out yesterday at a local nursery. And we dug up the grass, about a 3-foot diameter circle for each tree, so I can mulch and we can keep the weeds away from the trunks and not damage them when we take care of the yard. And we are all ready to put these in the ground to plant them. So I'm just going to take you through real quick what each of them are. This is a Barbie pink guava. An ever-bearing mulberry. A tropic beauty peach. Still got some blooms on it, but if you look closer, actually do have some fruits. And finally, a Barbados cherry. Got our guava nice and planted in the ground. Not much to it. I didn't really add any amendments to the soil besides leaving the potting soil around the root ball, just because it's going to endure some kind of shock when we first transplant it, and I don't want to fertilize and possibly have any issues with too much going on for the plant at one time. So we basically just dug a hole big enough for the size of the root ball, tried to get it, make sure it's nice and level. It is mounded slightly from the rest of the yard, just so the moisture tends to gather around the root ball and seep instead of run off. And one thing to note about when you do pack the soil back in is to make sure that you are making sure that soil is compacted around that root ball. There's no weird air pockets or anything, which do cause potential for root rot. So now that we've got this one done, we're going to go ahead and do the rest, and we'll come back and show you the finished product. We're going to mulch, and then we're going to paint the trunk to make sure that these young trees don't get sunburned. Mulch put down. We just do cypress mulch. That's just what we've done around our house, and that's what we like. It's pretty heavy and it doesn't get carried away by rain very easily. So Home Depot, That's all you gotta do.
Please excuse my messy garage, but I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about as far as protecting the new trees from sunburn. I recently saw this tip from Kevin Espirito on Epic Gardening. And it makes sense to me. I've never done it before, but we're gonna try because I did see like what I thought was sunburn happen to our plumeria over the last year. The bark's kind of cracked and looks like it's trying to heal itself in certain places, and it almost had no foliage all last summer. So I know that it got a lot of sun, and it's a young tree. So I'm gonna try this out. This is Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard. It's supposed to protect against sunburn, insects, and rodents. So as you can see, I have the first coat on. I was pretty generous with it. I'm just kind of winging it here. Don't take anything I say as fact. I'm just figuring things out and sharing what I'm doing along the way. It does recommend that between coats, about every 5 to 10 minutes, to stir the contents of the can to make sure that they are uniform. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna put on a second coat on everything. But I am gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. It is getting a little bit later in the evening, and I have a few other things in the house to do, and then I'm going to relax. So I did want to just leave you guys with saying thank you for watching. I don't know if I ever introduced myself. My name is Maggie, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me, and grateful to be starting this. And yeah, I just want to leave you with saying that the day you plant the seed is not the day you harvest the fruit. So just be patient and keep on growing. Bye guys.